The transport ship Harmony moved through the darkness of space like a silver needle, threading through black cloth. Inside the ship, Lieutenant Una Park stood at the observation window and watched the stars pass by. She wore her dark blue naval uniform pressed and perfect. Her short black hair was tied back neatly. At 28 years old, she had seen many things in her military career, but nothing like this. "We're almost there," said a voice behind her. Una turned to see Ambassador Tae-ho Kim approaching. He was old, perhaps 70, with gray hair and kind eyes that had witnessed decades of Earth's struggles to join the galactic community. He walked with a cane, not because he was weak, but because an old injury still bothered him sometimes. "Are you ready, Lieutenant?" Tae-ho asked. "Yes, sir," Una replied. She was always ready. That was her job. Behind them, Dr. Ji-won Choi was checking her tablet for the 100th time. The scientist was nervous, her fingers tapping against the screen as she reviewed their presentation materials. Ji-won was younger than the ambassador, but older than Una, somewhere in her early 40s, with long hair that she kept pushing behind her ears. "They're going to reject us," Ji-won said quietly. "I can feel it." "We don't know that," Tae-ho said gently. "The reports say they think we're primitives," Ji-won continued. "Heavy worlders, they call us. Like it's an insult." Yuna's fellow security officer, Hyun Lee, laughed from his seat across the cabin. He was younger than Una, only 25, with more fire in his personality. "Let them call us whatever they want. Words don't hurt." "Words can hurt more than weapons sometimes," Tae-ho said. The communication system beeped. A voice spoke in the strange melodic language of the Velen species, then switched to standard galactic English. "Earth Transport Harmony, you are cleared for docking at Station Epsilon 7. Welcome to the Galactic Council." The word "welcome" sounded polite, but something in the tone made Una frown. It reminded her of how someone might welcome an annoying guest they didn't really want to see. The station grew larger in the window. It was beautiful, Una had to admit. The structure looked like a massive flower made of metal and light, with petals extending in all directions. Ships from dozens of worlds docked at various points, some so strange that Una couldn't figure out which end was the front. The Harmony settled into its docking port with a gentle thump. Una felt the ship's gravity adjust as they connected to the station's systems. Suddenly she felt lighter. Much lighter. It was like standing on the moon, or how she imagined standing on the moon would feel. "Station gravity is 0.3, Hyun said, checking his wrist computer. "That's less than a third of Earth normal. They warned us about this," Tae-ho said. "Most species in the Council come from low-gravity worlds. This is normal for them." The airlock opened with a hiss. On the other side stood 3 aliens waiting to greet them. Una had seen pictures, but pictures never prepared you for the real thing. The tallest was Velen, nearly 3 meters high but thin as a reed. Its skin was pale blue and it had 4 arms instead of 2. When it moved, it seemed to flow rather than walk. Its name was Overseer Delvin, according to the briefing materials. Next to Delvin floated a Quorum, a being that looked like living crystal. It caught the light and threw rainbow colors across the walls. It didn't have legs at all, just hovering in the air through some technology Una didn't understand. The third was a Nyx, small and winged, no bigger than a human child. It fluttered in the air like a bird, never touching the ground. "Welcome to Epsilon 7, Delvin said. Its voice was high and musical. "We are pleased to receive Earth's delegation." The word said one thing. The tone said another. Tae-ho stepped forward carefully in the low gravity. Each step made him lift higher than he intended. Una and the others followed, trying to walk normally. It felt strange, like walking on a trampoline. "Thank you for having us," Tae-ho said, bowing slightly. Delvin's large eyes watched them move. "How interesting. You still walk with such heaviness, even here where there is barely any weight to hold you down." It wasn't a compliment. The Quorum made a sound like wind chimes. Una's translator interpreted it as laughter. "Look at them struggle. Like fish trying to climb trees." The Nyx darted around the humans, examining them from all angles. "So dense, so solid. How do you even move on your world? Does everything feel like swimming through mud?" Hyun's jaw tightened. Una could see his fists clench. She caught his eye and shook her head slightly. "Not now. Not yet, we manage," Ji-won said, trying to sound friendly. "Earth's gravity is stronger than most worlds, yes. But we're used to it." "Used to it," Delvin repeated. "Yes, I suppose prisoners become used to their chains as well." They were led through the station's corridors. Yuna observed everything with her military training. The hallways were wide and tall, designed for species that could fly or float. There were no stairs, only ramps and lift tubes. The lighting was soft and came from the walls themselves. Other aliens passed them in the corridors. Many stopped to stare at the humans. Some whispered to each other. A few laughed openly. "Heavy worlders," someone said. "Look how they lumber along," said another. "Slaves to their own mass," a third voice added. Yuna kept her face neutral, but inside she felt anger building. Not the hot, explosive kind that made you do stupid things. The cold, patient kind that made you remember every word, every insult, every slight. They reached a large chamber with windows showing the stars beyond. Inside, representatives from dozens of species waited. Some stood on the floor. Others floated at various heights. A few clung to the walls or ceiling. It was like stepping into a three-dimensional painting where the normal rules didn't apply. "This is the observation hall," Delvan explained. "Here you will meet other council members before tomorrow's formal session." A Theros approached them. The reptilian being was closer to human size than most of the others, with scales that shimmered green and gold. It walked on two legs, though it had a thick tail for balance. "I am War Master Then," it said. Its voice was deep and rough. "Earth's military representative, I presume." "Lieutenant Yuna Park," she said, saluting. "And Officer Hyun Lee." Then circled them slowly, examining them like a predator studying prey. "You wear heavy clothes, heavy boots, heavy equipment. Everything about you is weighted down. Is this your combat gear?" "No, sir," Yuna said. "This is our standard uniform." "Standard." Then's eyes widened slightly. "What do your soldiers wear into battle?" "More than this," Hyun said. Several nearby aliens had gathered to listen. A Velen officer laughed. "More? How do you even move? How do you fight?" "We manage," Yuna repeated Jiwon's earlier words. "Brute strength," the Velen officer said dismissively. "Any creature from a heavy world can hit hard. But can you think? Can you plan? Can you adapt?" "Yes," Yuna said simply. The Velen officer didn't look convinced. It floated away, still laughing. The evening continued like that. One introduction after another. Each conversation contained the same hidden mockery. The aliens were polite on the surface, but underneath their message was clear. Humans didn't belong here. Humans were too slow, too heavy, too primitive. Finally, Delvan showed them to their quarters. The rooms were nice, at least. Large windows, comfortable furniture, and a gravity control panel. "You may adjust the gravity in your quarters to whatever you prefer," Delvan said. "We understand that some species need special accommodations." After Delvan left, Taiho gathered his team in the main room. Hyun immediately adjusted the gravity to Earth normal. The change was instant. Suddenly, everything felt right again. Yuna could feel her proper weight, her normal strength. "They're going to reject us," Jiwon said, sitting heavily on a chair. "You heard them. We're a joke to them." "They underestimate us," Taiho said quietly. "They insult us," Hyun added, his voice tight with anger. Yuna walked to the window and looked out at the station, at the ships coming and going, at the vast galaxy beyond. "They think gravity made us weak," she said. "They're wrong," Hyun said. "Yes," Yuna agreed. "But they don't know that yet. They will, though. They'll learn." Taiho nodded slowly. "Patience, my friends. Let them have their mockery now. Our time will come." "When?" Hyun asked. "Soon," Yuna said, still watching the stars. "Very soon." She didn't know exactly when or how. But she knew one truth that the Council hadn't learned yet. Earth's gravity hadn't made humans weak. It had made them something else entirely, something these light-world species couldn't understand. It had made them strong. Morning came to Station Epsilon 7, though morning was just a concept in space. The station's lights brightened slowly to simulate sunrise for species that needed such things. Yuna woke at exactly 5:30, just as she did every day. Military training didn't care if you were on Earth or a space station halfway across the galaxy. She found Hyun already awake, doing push-ups in the common area. The gravity was still set to Earth normal in their quarters. Each push-up looked easy for him, but Yuna knew it would crush most of the aliens on this station. "How many?" she asked. 200, Hyun grunted. "Going for 3. Don't overdo it. We have a long day." Ambassador Taiho emerged from his room, already dressed in his formal diplomatic robes. Dr. Jiwon followed, carrying her tablet and looking nervous as usual. Today we present Earth's case to the Council, Taiho said. Dr. Choi will show our technological achievements. I will speak about our culture and history. Tonight there is a social gathering where we must mingle with other species. More chances for them to insult us, Hyun muttered. More chances for us to learn about them, Taeho corrected gently. They ate breakfast together. Simple Earth food that they had brought with them. Red fruit protein bars. Yuna noticed how heavy everything felt in their hands compared to the light containers and utensils the station provided. Even their food was denser than what the other species ate. The first meeting was in the technical assessment chamber. It was a large room with holographic displays and floating platforms for the various species to observe from their preferred heights. Jiwon stood at the center with her presentation materials. She began well, explaining Earth's achievements. Fusion power, faster than light drives, advanced materials science, medical breakthroughs. Her voice was steady, professional. Then the questions started. A quorum scientist interrupted her mid-sentence. These fusion reactors you show, they are heavily shielded, yes? Thick walls, dense materials? Yes, Jiwon said. For safety, of course. Heavy worlders always build thick and heavy. You don't know how to make things elegant and light. The quorum's crystalline body flashed with colors that Yuna's translator said meant amusement. Jiwon's cheeks reddened, but she continued. She showed the multi-tool that human engineers used. A simple device that could function as a screwdriver, wrench, cutter, and measurement tool. She thought it would impress them with its versatility. A Velen engineer floated forward and took the tool. The moment it touched his hand, he nearly dropped it. By the void, this weighs more than my entire toolbox. How do you carry such things? In our pocket, Jiwon said quietly. Barbaric, the Velen said, tossing the tool back. It flew through the low gravity slower than it should have. Jiwon caught it easily. You carry stones for weapons too, I suppose. Laughter rippled through the chamber. Jiwon tried to continue, but every achievement was dismissed. Their spacecraft were called flying bunkers. Their computers were overcomplicated. Their medical technology was crude biological manipulation. Yuna watched Jiwon's confidence crumble bit by bit. By the end of the presentation, the doctor was almost whispering. They returned to their quarters for a brief rest. Jiwon went straight to her room without speaking. Yuna heard quiet crying through the door. This is wrong, Hyun said, pacing angrily. We came here in peace and they treat us like dirt. Patience, Taeho said, but even his voice carried strain. The afternoon brought the cultural exchange event. Species from across the galaxy displayed their art, music, and traditions. The hall was filled with wonders. Velen performed aerial dances, their long bodies twisting through the air in patterns that seemed impossible. Kareem created light sculptures that changed color and shape with the viewer's thoughts. Nick sang in harmonies that made the air itself vibrate. When Earth's turn came, Taiho presented traditional calligraphy. He had brought special brushes and ink, paper made from Earth materials. With careful strokes, he painted characters that meant peace and unity in Korean. A Nyx artist flew close, examining the work. You drag ink across pressed plant matter? This is art? It's called calligraphy, Taiho explained. Each stroke requires years of practice to perfect. It's ground scratching, the Nyx said. Literally, you scratch at the ground level because you cannot rise above it. Do you have any art that actually flies? That moves? That lives in 3 dimensions? Other species laughed. Even the usually neutral Tharos seemed amused. Taiho carefully rolled up his calligraphy. His hands were steady, but Yuna saw pain in his eyes. This man had devoted his life to bringing Earth into the galactic community. This was his dream dying in front of him. Hyun stepped forward, his face red. Maybe you should... Yuna's hand clamped down on his shoulder. Her fingers dug in hard enough to hurt. Not yet, she whispered, quiet but firm. Hyun stopped, but his whole body was shaking with anger. That evening came the social gathering. Species mingled in a vast open space with multiple gravity zones. Some areas had nearly 0 gravity for the Quorum and Nyx. Others had slightly more for Velen and similar species. The humans stayed in their designated section with 0.3 gravity, the highest the station offered in communal areas. An elegant Velen female approached them. She wore flowing garments that moved like water. Tell me, she said to Yuna, what is it like to live under such terrible weight? Does your world itself feel like an enemy? Earth is our home, Yuna said. We don't think of it as an enemy, but it must be exhausting. Every movement fighting against such force. We Velen evolved on a moon with gentle gravity. We learned to dance with weightlessness. You learned to, what, crawl? We learned to walk, Una said. Barely, the Velen said with a musical laugh. A group of young Nicks flew around them in circles, examining the humans like they were zoo animals. One landed briefly on Hyun's shoulder, then immediately flew away. Too dense, too solid, like landing on a rock. The others found this hilarious. Throughout the evening, it continued. Every conversation carried hidden barbs. Every compliment contained an insult. The humans were too heavy, too slow, too primitive, too different. Finally, Ambassador Tejo politely excused them. They walked back to their quarters in silence. Several aliens moved aside as they passed in the corridors now, not out of respect, Una thought. Out of mockery. Making way for the heavy worlders. Back in their rooms, Tejo collapsed into a chair. He suddenly looked every one of his 70 years. They're going to reject us tomorrow. I can feel it, sir, Una started. No, Lieutenant. I've been in enough negotiations to know. They've already decided. This entire process is just them going through the motions. Ji-won emerged from her room, her eyes red. I'm sorry. I failed with my presentation. I should have. You did nothing wrong, Tejo said. They were never going to listen. We're different from them. Too different. Hyun punched the wall. In Earth gravity, it would have hurt his hand. In the station's low gravity, his fist went through the wall panel. He pulled it back, looking shocked. Sorry, But Una was staring at the hole in the wall. The panel was damaged by a casual punch thrown without full force in low gravity. She looked at her own hands. Strong hands. Hands that had carried equipment, climbed ropes, fired weapons. On Earth, that was normal. Here. Ambassador, she said slowly. Permission to speak freely? Granted. They think gravity made us weak. They don't understand it at all. Tejo looked at her. What do you mean? Tomorrow is the military demonstration, right? They want to see how each species fights? Yes, we're scheduled for the afternoon session. Why, Una smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a soldier who had just seen the enemy's weakness. I think it's time we showed them what Earth's gravity really taught us. They'll just mock us more, Ji-won said sadly. Maybe, Una said. Or maybe they'll finally understand. Hyun caught on first. His anger transformed into something else. Something colder and more focused. We've been holding back. Walking carefully. Trying not to break their things. Because we didn't want to seem aggressive, Una continued. But tomorrow they've asked for a demonstration. They've asked us to show what we can do. And we should oblige, Hyun finished. Tejo looked between them. Understanding slowly dawned on his face. You're not talking about putting on a show. You're talking about showing them the truth. Yes, sir. It might make things worse. Sir, with respect, things can't get much worse. They've decided we're primitive heavy worlders who don't belong. Maybe it's time they learned what that really means. Tejo was quiet for a long time. Finally, he nodded. Very well, Lieutenant. Tomorrow, show them. Show them everything. That night, Una didn't sleep much. She stood at the window, watching the stars, thinking about Earth. Heavy Earth with its crushing gravity that pressed down on every living thing. The gravity that made humans struggle for every step as children. The gravity that broke bones if you fell wrong. The gravity that killed you if you weren't careful. Earth wasn't gentle. Earth didn't forgive mistakes. Earth's gravity was a harsh teacher, but it was a very good teacher. Tomorrow the Council would have their demonstration. Tomorrow they would learn what Earth's gravity had created. Tomorrow everything would change. The morning of the third day felt different. Una woke with a sense of purpose that had been missing before. Today was the military demonstration. Today the Council would ask to see what humans could do, and today humans would show them. She and Hyun spent an hour in their quarters doing their standard morning training. Push-ups, sit-ups, squats, all in Earth gravity. Their bodies moved with practiced ease, muscles working against the familiar resistance. When they finished, both were barely breathing hard. It was routine, normal. Just another day. But today would be anything but normal for the Council. They adjusted the gravity back to station standard before leaving their quarters. The sudden lightness always felt strange, like becoming a ghost. Una had to remind herself to walk normally, not to bound with each step. Breakfast was quiet. Ambassador Tejo looked nervous. Dr. Ji-won pushed her food around without eating. Only Hyun seemed relaxed, almost eager. "Remember," Taeho said, "whatever happens today, we remain professional. We are representatives of Earth." "Yes, sir," Yuna and Hyun said together. The morning sessions dragged on. More presentations, more barely concealed mockery. A Velen sociologist gave a lecture about how low-gravity species had evolved superior cultures because they weren't trapped by their own weight. The presentation included pictures of humans walking, with arrows pointing out how inefficient their movement was. Yuna sat through it all with a blank face. Inside, she counted down the hours until afternoon. Finally, the call came. All delegates to the combat assessment arena. Military demonstrations will begin in 30 minutes. The arena was enormous, taking up an entire section of the station. It was a sphere, perfectly round, with observation platforms at various heights for the different species. The floor was made of some kind of advanced material that could withstand significant impacts. Or so they said. War Master Then stood at the center, his reptilian form imposing even among all the aliens. "Welcome to the demonstrations. Each species will show their combat capabilities. This allows the Council to assess potential military contributions to our mutual defense pacts." The Velen went first. Their warriors were incredible to watch. They moved through the low gravity like dancers, spinning and flipping. Their weapons were energy-based, light and quick. They performed complex aerial maneuvers that would be impossible on Earth. The watching species applauded with their various forms of approval. Next came the Korim. Their combat style was completely different. Focused on energy shields and coordinated group tactics, they created dazzling displays of light and force. More applause. The Nyx demonstrated swarm tactics, dozens of small warriors moving as one unit. Fast, coordinated, efficient. The crowd loved it. Then it was humanity's turn. Yuna and Hyun walked to the center of the arena. They wore their standard duty uniforms. No special armor, no heavy gear, just their normal clothes. To the watching aliens, they looked casual, almost unprepared. "These are your warriors?" Then asked, skepticism clear in his voice. "We are security officers," Yuna said. "But yes, we are trained in combat." "I see no weapons." "We have sidearms," Hyun said, patting the gun at his hip. A Velen in the audience laughed. "Projectile weapons? How primitive." Yuna ignored the comment. "We request permission to set the arena gravity to standard council level. Point 3. "It's already at point 3, Then said. Confused. "Ah, then we're ready. Don't you want to adjust it higher? Closer to your home gravity?" Yuna smiled. "No, sir. This is fine." Then looked uncertain but gestured for them to begin. "Show us what humans can do." What happened next would be talked about for years across the galaxy. Yuna and Hyun began with basic combat drills. Simple movements practiced 10,000 times. But in point 3 gravity, everything changed. When Yuna threw a punch at the practice target, her fist moved faster than most species could track. The target, designed to withstand significant force, cracked. The sound echoed through the arena like a gunshot. The murmuring in the audience stopped. Hyun performed a simple jump kick. In Earth gravity, it would be a modest move. In station gravity, he launched himself 5 meters into the air, his leg extended. When his foot connected with another target, the entire structure shook. The target flew across the arena and crashed into the wall. Complete silence now. They continued. Every movement was basic human combat technique. Nothing fancy, nothing special. Just the standard training every Earth soldier learned. But in low gravity, with muscles developed under Earth's crushing weight, every action became something else entirely. A punch wasn't just a punch. It was a strike with the force of 3 times the body weight behind it. A kick wasn't just a kick. It was a weapon that could break bones with casual contact. They demonstrated grappling techniques. Hyun picked up a practice dummy that weighed 30 kilograms in station gravity. On Earth, it would weigh 90 kilograms. He lifted it one-handed effortlessly and threw it across the arena. It hit the wall hard enough to leave a dent. Yuna drew her sidearm. The gun was standard military issue designed for Earth gravity. Here she could hold it steady in one hand without any strain. She fired at the practice targets. The projectiles moved with deadly speed. Each shot hit the center perfectly. The recoil that would make a human steady themselves barely moved her arm at all. The silence in the arena was absolute. War Master Then approached them slowly. His expression was unreadable, That weapon. How heavy is it? 1.2 kilograms, Una said. About 2.6 pounds. And you carry this? Routinely? Yes, sir. Along with ammunition, communications equipment, armor, supplies. Standard combat load is about 20 kilograms. 44 pounds, a Velen warrior in the audience stood up. Impossible. I cannot lift even 10 kilograms in my home gravity. In your home gravity, Una said carefully, this gun would feel like it weighs 3 kilograms. To us it feels light. Understanding began to spread through the watching species. You could see it in their faces, their body language, their sudden stillness. Then looked at them with new eyes. Your demonstration? You were holding back considerably, weren't you? Hyun glanced at Una. She nodded slightly. Yes, sir. We didn't want to break your equipment. Break our... Then trailed off. He looked at the cracked targets, the dented wall, the damaged practice area. This was you holding back? Yes, sir. Show me. Full strength. Hit this. Then gestured to a reinforced striking pad, the kind designed to absorb heavy impacts from the strongest species. Una hesitated. Sir, we might damage. I order you to strike it. Full strength. Una took a breath. She stepped back, planted her feet, and punched the striking pad with full force. The sound was like thunder. The pad cracked straight down the middle. The support frame bent. The entire structure toppled over. The arena erupted in chaos. Aliens shouting, floating, flying in agitation. Some looked frightened. Others excited. Many seemed angry. Overseer Delvan's voice cut through the noise. Enough, this demonstration is concluded. Back in their quarters, the 4 humans sat in stunned silence. Una wasn't sure if what they'd done was good or bad. The aliens had seen what humans were capable of. But maybe that had been a mistake. They'll never accept us now, Jiwon said quietly. We showed them we're dangerous. We showed them we're strong, Hyun countered. There's a difference, is there? Jiwon asked. To them? Taeho was deep in thought. The council will make their final decision tomorrow. Tonight there is one last formal gathering. We should attend. Are you sure? Una asked. Yes. We must see this through, whatever comes. That evening they went to the Grand Council chamber for the first time. It was the most impressive space on the station. A vast sphere with representatives positioned at different heights, floating platforms providing seating for each species. The humans were given a platform at the bottom, in an area where gravity was 0.3. The chamber was full. Every council species had sent representatives. The humans could feel all eyes on them as they entered. Ambassador Taeho prepared to give Earth's final appeal. He stood with his notes, ready to speak about humanity's achievements, their desire for peace, their hope for cooperation. He had spent weeks preparing this speech. He began. His voice was clear and strong. He spoke about Earth's long journey to the stars, about how humans had dreamed of meeting other intelligent life, about their wish to join the galactic community as equals. Some species listened. Others clearly weren't paying attention. Then Overseer Delvan rose to speak. Everyone knew what was coming. The rejection, the dismissal of Earth's petition, the sending home of the primitive heavy worlders. Delvan's voice carried across the chamber. We have observed the humans. We have seen their technology, their culture, their military capabilities. They are interesting. But the Galactic Council has standards. We are beings who have transcended the tyranny of gravity. We dance among the stars unburdened by... Una was taking notes on a tablet, but she preferred paper for important things. She pulled out her pen from her pocket. A simple ballpoint pen, military issue, made of dense polymer and metal. Standard equipment for officers. She was adjusting her grip when it happened. The pen slipped from her fingers. It fell. In 0.3 gravity, objects fell slowly, but not as slowly as the aliens were used to. The pen was dense, heavy by their standards. It accelerated at 1.47 meters per second squared. The silence in the Grand Council chamber stretched on. Una stood with her pen in her hand, looking down at the cracked floor. Around her, hundreds of aliens stared in shock. Some floated closer to see the damage better. Others backed away as if suddenly afraid. Overseer Delvin's voice broke the quiet. How much does that object weigh? Una looked at her pen. About 15 grams, sir. Half an ounce? A Velen representative gasped. 15 grams cracked reinforced composite flooring. Not exactly, Dr. Jiwan said, kneeling by the crack with scientific interest. She pulled out her tablet and started taking measurements. The pen weighs 15 grams on Earth. Here, in 0.3 gravity, it would weigh about 4.5 grams. But the impact energy is what matters. On Earth, objects fall at 9.8 meters per second squared. That's our normal acceleration. She tapped her tablet, bringing up calculations that displayed holographically for everyone to see. This pen fell from approximately 1.2 meters height. In Earth gravity, it would hit with a certain force. Here, even in reduced gravity, because the pen's mass was created under Earth conditions, its density means it still carries significant impact energy. I don't understand, a corium scientist said, floating closer. Are you saying the pen itself is somehow wrong? Not wrong, Jiwon said. Dense, everything from Earth is dense. We build things to withstand Earth's gravity. That means more material, more mass, more weight per size. This pen is solid. On your worlds, a pen might be made of lighter materials because it doesn't need to be strong. War Master Then approached the platform carefully. He bent down and tried to pick up the pen. His hand shook with effort. By the ancestors, this tiny object weighs as much as my blade. How much do you weigh? Asked Anix, darting nervously around Yuna. Yuna checked her wrist computer. On Earth, I weigh 62 kilograms, 137 pounds. Here I weigh about 18.6 kilograms. 62 kilograms, Then repeated slowly. That is more than 3 times what the average Velen weighs. More than 10 times Anix. Yes, sir, Yun stepped forward. And I weigh 78 kilograms on Earth, 23.4 here. Our equipment, our clothes, our tools, all built for Earth gravity, all heavier than anything you use. Understanding rippled through the chamber. Aliens turned to each other, speaking in their various languages. Yuna's translator picked up fragments. The heavy worlders really are heavy. Everything they touch weighs 10 times normal. No wonder they move strangely. They're carrying impossible weight. Ambassador Taiho seized the moment. Honored Council, may I explain what this really means? Delvin gestured weakly. Please. Taiho's voice grew stronger. Earth's surface gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. We call this 1G. This station operates at 0.3 G. Your homeworlds range from 0.1 G to 0.8 G. Earth is stronger than almost any council world. He brought up holographic displays, videos from Earth. A human child walking to school carrying a backpack. The readout showed the pack's weight, 8 kilograms. This is a child, Taiho said, 8 years old. She carries this to school every day, for 5 kilometers. 8 kilograms would break a Velen adult's back. Next video, human soldiers training, running with full gear. The weight displayed 40 kilograms of equipment, plus body weight. Our warriors train by carrying more than most of your species weigh in total, not as punishment. As standard procedure, another video. Construction workers on Earth lifting steel beams, moving concrete, working with materials that the readouts showed would be impossible for most council species to even budge. We don't think of these things as heavy. To us, this is normal. A pen is just a pen. A tool is just a tool. We forget that we developed under forces you've never experienced. Dr. Jiwon stood, adding her voice. May I show you something else? Something important. She brought up medical scans. Human anatomy. Look at our bones. They're incredibly dense, made of calcium-heavy compounds. Our bones are denser than most species' armor. We need this density to not break under our own weight on Earth. More images. Our muscles. Look at the structure. Each muscle fiber is compact, strong. We have fast twitch and slow twitch muscles designed to work constantly against heavy resistance. Our cardiovascular system. Our hearts pump blood against gravity every moment of our lives. Our blood pressure would be dangerous for you. For us, it's normal. A corium doctor floated forward. Wait, you're saying your biology itself is adapted to high gravity? Yes, Jiwon said. Every part of our body. Our inner ear for balance. Our joints and ligaments. Our spine. Everything is built to withstand forces you never face. When we come to low gravity, all that strength is still there. We don't lose it. We just feel lighter. Researcher Prill, the corium scientist who had mocked them before, spoke up. The usual humor was gone from its voice. You evolved to fight a constant enemy. Every moment of your existence is spent overcoming a force that would kill most of us instantly. We've never thought of it that way, Taiho said. But yes, if you put any of you on Earth's surface, the gravity would be crushing. You wouldn't be able to stand. Your bodies would collapse. You might die from the strain on your organs. Horror spread through the chamber. Aliens looked at the humans with new eyes. Not primitive heavy worlders anymore. Survivors. Beings who lived every day under conditions that would be lethal to most of the galaxy. War Master then spoke up. The combat demonstration. You said you were holding back. Yes, sir, Yuna said. Show me. Not a strike. Just show me how you move. On Earth. Sir, we can't set the gravity to Earth standard here. The station doesn't have that capability. Then describe it. Or better, show me video. Jiwan quickly pulled up footage. Human military training on Earth. Soldiers running obstacle courses, climbing walls, carrying equipment. To the Council, it looked impossible. The humans moved under what the readouts showed was crushing force. They ran, they jumped. They fought. Under pressure that should have broken them. This is normal training? Then asked, his voice quiet. Yes, sir, Hyun said. Basic training. Every soldier does this. How do you not break? We do sometimes, Yuna admitted. Training injuries are common. Broken bones, torn muscles. But we heal and continue. Earth doesn't give us a choice. A Velen medical officer stood shakily. I need to confirm something. Your pen cracked our floor. Your demonstration broke our equipment. Is everything from Earth this dangerous? Dangerous isn't the word I would use, Taiho said carefully. But dense, yes. Heavy, yes. Our ships, for example, they're built to withstand Earth's gravity during construction and launch. They have to be structurally sound under 9.8 G acceleration. Our ships are built for 0.1 to 0.5 G, the Velen said. They would collapse on your world. Yes, G1 confirmed. Most Council ships couldn't land on Earth and take off again. The gravity would tear them apart. More murmuring. More shock. Delvin finally spoke. Why didn't you tell us this? Why didn't you explain what your world was like? Ambassador Tejo smiled sadly. Would you have believed us? If we had arrived and said we come from a world with 10 times your gravity, would you have accepted that? Or would you have called it primitive boasting? Silence, you're right, Delvan admitted. We would have thought you were exaggerating. Making excuses. We wouldn't have believed until we saw. A pen is worth 1,000 words, Hyun said quietly. Despite the tension, a few aliens made sounds that translated as laughter. The session was called to recess. The Council needed time to discuss this new information. The humans were asked to return to their quarters while deliberations took place. As they left, Yuna noticed the difference immediately. Aliens moved aside in the corridors, but not like before. Not to mock. Now they moved with something like respect. Or maybe fear. She wasn't sure which. A young Nyx flew up to her, hovering at eye level. Are you tired? From walking in our low gravity? Yuna smiled gently. No, this is light for us. Very light. Like floating. What does Earth feel like? Like wearing a heavy coat all the time. But we're used to it. It's home. The Nyx darted away, speaking rapidly to its companions. Back in their quarters, the 4 humans collapsed into chairs. The gravity was still set to station standard. They were all too tired to adjust it. What happens now? Jiwan asked. They deliberate, Taiho said. Could be hours. Could be days. They'll reject us, Jiwan said. Now they know we're dangerous, are we? Hyun asked. Dangerous, I mean. Yuna thought about it. We could be, if we wanted to be. But we don't want to be. Will they believe that? Jiwan pressed. I don't know, Taiho admitted. They waited. Hours passed, they ate. They tried to rest. The tension was almost unbearable. Finally, a message came through. Human delegation, please return to the Grand Council chamber. The Council has reached a decision. This was it. The moment that would decide Earth's future in the galaxy. Acceptance or rejection, partnership or isolation. They put on their formal clothes, checked their appearance, walked through the corridors one more time. Other species watched them pass. The mockery was gone. But what had replaced it? Yuna couldn't tell. The Grand Council chamber was full again. Every seat occupied, every species represented. The tension in the air was thick enough to touch. The humans took their position on their platform. Overseer Delvin's voice filled the Grand Council chamber. Every species waited to hear the verdict. Yuna felt her heart beating hard. Beside her, Hyun stood rigid. Dr. Jiwan's hands were clasped together. Ambassador Taiho's face was calm, but his eyes showed his tension. Representatives of Earth, Delvan continued. When you arrived, we believed we understood what you were. Heavy worlders, primitives weighed down by excessive gravity. We were wrong. Delvan gestured, and holographic images appeared. The cracked floor. Video from the combat demonstration. Calculations showing the differences in gravity. We didn't understand what living under such conditions means. We didn't comprehend that every moment of your lives is spent overcoming forces that would destroy most of us. We mocked you for being slow and heavy. We didn't realize you were carrying weight we cannot imagine. Murmurs of agreement came from the watching species. However, Delvin said, and Yuna's heart sank at that word. This revelation presents us with a difficult question. You are immensely strong. Your objects are incredibly dense. Your very presence poses risks to our standard infrastructure. Some council members fear what this means. A Velen counselor stood. Yuna recognized him. Counselor Myrn, one of the isolationists. I speak for those who believe humans are too dangerous. They are powerful, yes, but power without proper control is tyranny. What happens when they grow angry? When they decide that their might makes right? A casual dropped pen cracked our floor. What would an intentional strike do? What would an attack do? Other voices joined his. Fear spreading through the chamber. Ambassador Taiho requested permission to speak. Delvan granted it. Taiho stepped forward. His voice carried the weight of his years, his wisdom. Honored Counselor Myrn, may I tell you what living on Earth truly teaches us? Speak, Myrn said coldly. Yes, we are strong. Your gravity made us strong. But it also taught us something you haven't considered. It taught us patience. Taiho brought up new images. Human children learning to walk, falling down, getting back up, falling again, rising again. Every human child learns to walk by falling. We fall dozens of times, hundreds. The gravity pulls us down again and again. But we rise. We try again. Earth never yields. Earth never forgives mistakes. It taught us humility. He showed more images. Humans working together. Construction crews, rescue workers, scientists. We also learned that we need each other. On Earth, no one survives alone. The gravity is too harsh, the environment too unforgiving. We must cooperate. We must help each other up when we fall, because we all fall. Earth makes sure of that. Yuna found herself stepping forward. May I speak, Ambassador? Please. She looked at Counselor Myrn directly. You asked what happens when we get angry. You want to know if we'll use our strength to hurt others. I can't speak for all humans, but I can tell you what our military teaches us. She pulled out her sidearm slowly, carefully. Several aliens flinched. This weapon weighs 1.2 kilograms. In this gravity, I can hold it steady with one finger. I can draw it faster than most of you can see. I can fire with accuracy you can't match. The combat demonstration showed you that. She holstered it again. But our first lesson in military training isn't how to shoot. It's when not to shoot. Every human soldier learns that strength without restraint is not strength at all. It's just destruction. And Earth taught us to hate unnecessary destruction because we know what it costs. War Master Then stood. I would like to speak on this matter. Delvin nodded. I am Theros. We are warriors. We understand strength. We respect power. But I tell you now, these humans impress me not because of their might, but because of their control. He gestured to Yuna and Hyun. Watch the videos again. In the combat demonstration, every strike was measured, every movement controlled. They didn't unleash their full power, even when mocked, even when insulted. They held back because they didn't want to break our things or hurt anyone. Then's voice grew stronger. That is not weakness, that is discipline, that is honor. I have fought alongside many species. I would be proud to fight alongside humans. A species that trains in such gravity and still chooses peace? Those are allies I want. More voices spoke up now. A quorum scientist. I wish to start research exchange programs. Human engineering developed under such conditions could teach us revolutionary techniques. Their materials science alone could advance our civilization by decades. A Nyx explorer. I want to visit Earth. to see this world that creates such beings, to understand what we've been mocking without knowledge. Even some Velen were changing their minds. One stood and said, "I was wrong. I called them primitive. I see now they are advanced in ways we never considered, not despite their gravity, but because of it." But Counselor Myrn wasn't convinced. Beautiful words. But words are easy. Actions matter. How do we know they won't use their power against us? Silence fell again. It was a fair question. Fear was hard to overcome with just speeches. Then Dr. Jiwan spoke up. Her voice was quiet but firm. "May I show you something?" She brought up an image. A simple picture of Earth from space, blue and white and beautiful. "This is our home. This planet that you fear made us too strong. We love it, we treasure it. And do you know what Earth taught us more than anything else?" She looked around at all the species. "It taught us that we are small, that we are fragile, that without cooperation, without compassion, without thinking of others, we die. Gravity kills the selfish. Gravity kills those who don't help their neighbors. Earth is harsh, but it made us kind because kindness is survival." Jiwan's eyes were wet with tears now. "You want to know if we'll hurt you? Ask yourselves this. In 3 days here, after being mocked and insulted constantly, did we strike anyone? Did we threaten? Did we use our strength to intimidate?" "No," Delvan said softly. "We dropped a pen by accident and immediately apologized. That's who we are. We're strong, yes. But we're careful with that strength because Earth taught us that carelessness kills." The chamber was silent. Then, slowly, species began to signal their agreement. The Theros unanimously. The Korim with enthusiasm. The Nyx with growing excitement. Even most Velen. Counselor Myrn stood alone with his few supporters, but even he seemed to be wavering. Finally, Delvin called for the formal vote. "All in favor of accepting Earth into the Galactic Council, signal now." Lights appeared across the chamber. Green for yes, red for no. The voting display filled with green. More and more. A sea of approval, only a handful of red lights. Myrn and his closest allies. "The vote is decided," Delvin announced. "By a majority of 93%, Earth is accepted as a full member of the Galactic Council." The chamber erupted. Some species cheered in their own ways, others applauded. The noise was overwhelming. Yuna felt Hyun grab her shoulder, squeezing hard. She saw tears on Jiwan's face. Ambassador Taiho stood very still, as if afraid that moving would shatter the moment. Then Taiho bowed deeply. "On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we thank you. We promise to be worthy of this trust." That evening there was a celebration. The largest gathering the station had ever hosted. Species from all over the galaxy mingled with the human delegation, but this time, everything was different. A Velen engineer approached Dr. Jiwan. "Would you teach me about Earth's material science? I want to understand how you build things to withstand such forces." "I'd be honored," Jiwan said, smiling. Young Nyx flew around Hyun, asking him questions about Earth. What did it look like? What did the strong gravity feel like? Could they visit? He answered patiently, describing his home with love in his voice. War Master Then found Yuna. "I spoke truly earlier. I would like to visit Earth, to train with human warriors, to see where such discipline is forged." "You'd be welcome," Yuna said, "though I should warn you the gravity is hard. You'd need time to adjust." "I look forward to the challenge," Then said. "It's been too long since I faced a real test." Even Overseer Delvin approached Ambassador Taiho looking embarrassed. "I owe you an apology, my people. We were cruel without understanding." "You didn't know," Taiho said graciously. "How could you? We're different from you in ways that don't show. But now you know. Now we can build something together." "I hope so," Delvan said. "I truly do." Late that night, after the celebration finally ended, the 4 humans returned to their quarters one last time. Tomorrow they would leave, returning to Earth with the news of acceptance. But tonight they sat together in their rooms processing everything that had happened. "I still can't believe it worked," Jiwan said. A pen. A simple pen changed everything. It wasn't the pen, Taiho said wisely. It was what the pen represented. Truth, understanding, the willingness to see beyond assumptions. Will it last? Hyun asked. The acceptance? That's up to us, Yuna said. We have to prove every day that we deserve their trust. By being careful? Jiwan asked. By being ourselves, Yuna said. Strong but gentle, powerful but careful. Everything Earth taught us to be. She walked to the window one last time, looking out at the station, at the ships from 100 worlds, at the vast galaxy beyond. Somewhere out there was Earth, heavy Earth, with its crushing gravity. The world that everyone had thought made humans weak. The world that had actually made them strong, but more than strong. Earth had made humans patient, made them careful, made them understand that strength means nothing without control.